minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi, everybody. It's a bittersweet day because it's our last day. That's the last time we'll play that intro music. That's the last time I'll panic 2 minutes before we start the show that I don't have the intro music up. There's no more panic left. Welcome, everybody, to the show. It is our last day for the moon at noon. I am Jenna. I am Rasky person. I am this. Who even knows anymore? I'm the outreach person. There we go. That's who I am.
I'm Samantha. I am the outreach assistant for Rask, so I help Jenna out in whatever she does.
And I'm John Reed, author of 50 Things to See on the Moon, which is why they let me hang out on their cool show.
It's true. It's the only reason.
We need the dad jokes.
Yeah.
And for the dad jokes, yeah.
And the dad
And
jokes.
sometimes the
occasional-
Tilly hat.
Sometimes a Tilly hat, sometimes a child appears.
Well, yeah, we're doing this to hang out with Edwin.
Yeah, there may be a guest appearance at 35 minutes past the hour. We'll see.
We can hope.
Fingers crossed.
So
Yeah.
welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for letting us know where you're all from. If you'd like to introduce yourselves in the Zoom chat, if you are joining us on Zoom, please do, and let us know where you're coming from. Don't forget, if you want to talk to everybody, to change the little bar from panelists to all panelists and attendees. I know there was some confusion last time being like, you guys have a secret chat. The secret chat is just the chat that people send only to the panelists and not to everybody. So if you want to talk to everybody, make sure that you change that setting. For those on YouTube, we'll do our best to pay attention to you all as well. And feel free to introduce yourselves if you would like.
Jenna, we have demand for more moon at noon.
Well, we would love to keep hanging out, honestly. And especially, yeah, we would love to keep going, but don't worry, we're going to have some other options. And we're actually going to spend a good chunk of time seeing what you all thought of things and where you'd all like us to go in the future on some stuff. So first,
You're on YouTube right now. We'll check the chat too.
Yeah. So if you have thoughts on YouTube, please just share them in the chat and we'll keep an eye. So as we're wrapping up the program, today is a good day for questions. Any questions that you've had overarching over the entire program. Yes, an announcement too that Blake Nancaro, who is now in the chat, is the new chair for the Rask Observing Committee, and so maybe looking at some of your submissions for this program as well.
Right. Congratulations, Blake.
Congratulations, Blake. So today we're going to go over a little bit, some clarification on the two different programs, mostly the Explore the Moon program being the overarching one that we've talked about all 3 months. It's been 3 months.
Yeah.
For the past 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Time just flies.
Time flies. And so we have our two programs that we've been going over. We've been completely covering the telescope one. And what I mean by that is every time that we talk about the targets that we're talking about are the telescope ones, because the binocular program targets are all included in the telescope target program as well. And so if you've been following along and if you've seen every target that we've talked about, that means that you will have completed, and if you've seen them with a telescope, means you'll have completed the with a small telescope program. If you followed along and only looked at the binocular targets, that means that you will have accomplished the binocular program. The difference between these two is that first of all, actually the same thing is that if you would like to get your certificate, your observing certificate, you do need to be a Rask member to do so. So if you're not a member yet, come and join.
It's very affordable and you get a lot of good benefits, especially just being part of this awesome community. So
it's really nice to be part of the community and to hang out with everyone. And yeah, all three of us are members now.
Yep. You get access to forums too, which are new and upcoming, and you can talk to other Rask members and ask about your own questions about observing. So that's a good spot to ask questions later.
Blake says it's the best deal in the universe.
It is.
That is a completely unbiased opinion, everybody, from the chair of the observing committee. It's factual and it's true.
I mean, I guess a little biased, but really, I think it's a great deal between the books and the Sky News subscription.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
I've been like starting to love these. I never read them before, and now I started to read them when I got my thing. Really
And
awesome.
you get access to the programs. So that's you do get to, complete these programs. Explore the Universe, which we did last year, is available to everybody, but the rest of our observing programs are only available to RASC members if you'd like to get your certificate. So that's an excellent reason to join just there, regardless of all the extra stuff that you get on top of it.
So what's the difference between the two programs?
The difference, okay, we'll stop selling now. The difference between the two programs is that, first of all, the binocular has fewer targets. The telescope has more targets. If you complete the binocular program as a member, you get a certificate. If you complete the telescope program as a member, you get a certificate and you get a pin that says that you completed the program.
And you can put it on your dad hat.
Yes.
Or your mom hat or your non-binary hat, whatever you
can put it on whichever Tilly hat you want, but it needs to be a Tilly hat.
It needs to be a Tilly hat.
That's the key.
We are not sponsored by Tilly, though.
We are not sponsored by
It can be
Tilly.
a fake
If ever
Tilly
they want
hat.
to.
It doesn't have to be branded.
Yes, that's true. It can be off-brand Tilly. So that's the difference between the two programs. As you've been going along, if you've done the binocular program already, you can expand and go in to do the telescope program by using a scope to observe targets. There's all sorts of options on that front. When it comes to what you need to actually do, have written down to get your certificate, we mentioned this at the beginning of the series, but we're going to mention it again now just because it's always important to go over this stuff. Hey, look, it's us from a few seconds ago. It's in the guides that come with these books, which are available on the RASC store. And this guide is also on rasc.ca/moon@noon. And the key for what you need to have written down is right here, what you need to have to get your certificate and your pin. This is for telescopes, so the pin is included. You need to have, where do we start? The date and time, the sky locations, sky conditions, not locations, but it would be nice if you recorded your location as well, even though it's not listed here.
It should be easy. You shouldn't have been going far away from home.
Yes, that's true. It's not like you're going down to Chile to observe or anything right now. The telescope characteristics, so what scope you have, and what kind of, so I always write down, for example, that I have a 6-inch scope, 6-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain scope. The magnification, and then any observing remarks or details. And if you have sketches, they are encouraged, but they are not mandatory. So you can just write down how you felt and what you saw if you would like. If you're not a sketch artist, although we appreciate those of you who have been joining us throughout the series sketching along. So that's all you need. Everything is written in the logbook pages if you choose to use this logbook. Oh, it's not on this sharing screen. That's fine. I'm going to stop sharing and just show you the inside of the logbook instead. So everything is in here. There's more than enough to fill out. There are extra options that may not, like constellation, for example, you probably don't need for the moon program. Well, you definitely don't need. And there's some extra details that you may not be strictly required to fill out, but you can if you want to.
Yep.
And in the manual and the log, I'm pretty sure logbook, they have a list of just straight up all the targets. So once you go through your log, you can go through and just check to make sure you have all of them. Because I'm in this panic. It's like, what have I viewed? What haven't I viewed? Because my logbook just happens in the order I view them in, not necessarily the order that everything is in. So that would be a good thing to do before you send it in and then potentially not get your certificate. Would be sad.
Definitely make sure you do that. And a question that Blake has already answered in the chat, but for the benefit of anyone who is not watching in the chat or watching this later, there are no time limits. If you start observing now, you can finish it. And as Blake said, it took him 20 years to finish the Messier certificate. I have completely stopped. I started strong and I started my observations and I did okay. And then I stopped on April 22nd. That was when my mental health ran out. So
it's okay. I took a huge pause too. I kind of blamed it on the weather and the nice but yeah, I only started up really again this week because I was sitting out on my porch and I see the moon in clear view with a clear sky and I could not resist. But yeah, I took like a month off too. So do it in your own time, whatever works for you.
Well, we want to go into a little bit more detail,
seasonal.
right? On what some of those things in the description mean. So
yes,
did you want me to start off with telescope characteristics? Because that can be a little bit confusing.
yes, please, because I think I probably got it wrong. Go, John.
Awesome. Well, so I can go through the telescope that I use to do explore the moon. So I use the most basic telescope I could find, one that people sometimes accidentally get for Christmas. So this is not one we would recommend, which is one of the reasons that I chose it, because often it's a very popular one that gets gifted. So you might have one of these lying around the house. So what should you record? Well, I recorded the type of telescope. So this is a 70 millimeter, which is the diameter. So it's a Celestron 70 EQ. So EQ refers to this mount. It's equatorially mounted, which means that instead of going up and down and left and right, it goes toward and away from the North Pole, the North Celestial Pole or the North Star, and around the North Star. So I recorded that. And then basically you've got some statistics that are almost always on a sticker on your telescope. So it has the diameter, the 70, that's the diameter of the lens. It has 700, and that's a really important number that Samantha will get to in a moment. So that's the focal length. So what's the distance it takes for the light to come into focus from that lens? So this is a focal length of 700. And it also has a focal ratio of f10. We don't really need to worry about that. The other thing that is really important to point out in terms of characteristics is what type of diagonal you're using, especially if this is called an erecting diagonal. And because this is a beginner telescope and they think that you might be able to use it on land too, typically refractors flip and give you a mirror image with a 90-degree diagonal. This has a prism instead of a mirror in it. And what it does is it writes the image. So there's no rotation, there's no reflection between what you see and with your eye and what you see through the telescope. So you want to point out if you're using an erecting eyepiece or not. You also need to point out or let them know if you're using a Barlow. So this is an example of a 2x Barlow, and this doubles your magnification. And Samantha will talk about that again in a minute. And you're also going to need to mention your eyepiece focal length as well. That's the number written on your eyepiece. Because the focal length of the eyepiece, whether or not you're using a Barlow, and the focal length of the telescope are all required to calculate your magnification. So, should we turn it over to Samantha?
Yes, and
she can talk about that.
We'll start with telescope magnification, and then we'll go to binocular magnification.
Cool.
And
Samantha.
Okay, so one of my big questions was, how do I even calculate the magnification? As a very new astronomer, I can tell you the size of my eyepiece. I just learned how to figure out the focal length of my telescope. So my telescope's from the 70s and I still have that sticker on it. So I'm sure everybody will be able to find them.
If you can't, you can Google as well. You can Google your telescope name and type and then focal length, and it should come up.
So it's a very simple formula. Everybody has a calculator nowadays. I'm not going to go into a math lesson on how I teach my kids to divide. But it's basically, we can ignore the Barlow for now, the telescope focal length. So as we said, you see that your diameter and the focal length, which John said yours was 700, right?
Yeah.
And mine, I think I said, I'll do it for mine. Mine was
Yours was 900, yeah.
Yeah. And it's millimeters, right? We'll just, it'll say millimeters on it. Doesn't matter. The units cancel out. I'm not, again, not going to give you a math lesson. And then you want to take your eyepiece, and usually like right on the side of the eyepiece, it'll tell you the eyepiece focal length. So like I have a 15 millimeter, a 20 millimeter, and a 10. I use the 15 for most of it because it's the nicest eyepiece I own. And well, my partner owns and I steal from him. And so you just want to divide 900 by 15 or your telescope focal length by your eyepiece. I'm just going to actually use a real calculator for once. And I have 60 times magnification.
Yeah.
However, I use a Barlow too with this, and I have a 3 times Barlow lens. So I'm going to triple 60 to be able to get my actual answer. So 60 times 3, 6 times 3 is 18. So 180 times is my magnification. So quite simple. Just every time I go out, I don't actually calculate my magnification, obviously. I write down what my eyepiece was, and I write down if I use my Barlow or not. And then you're able to go back and check it. Because sometimes I use different eyepiece. Sometimes I use my really small telescope because I don't want to drag my 20-pound telescope outside.
And it's important to remember that the Barlow is always optional, and it's always more difficult to use the telescope or to find things with the Barlow
Mhm.
because it reduces
Narrows.
your field of view. It narrows it. So you only use the Barlow to then, after you found your target, in this case, the moon, to zoom in. And you also have to remember that every time you change eyepieces or every time you put a Barlow in, you need to refocus the telescope.
Yeah.
That's
usually- sorry.
that's another sort of a good reason for when we're observing targets on their Q day. So like on the day that they're along the terminator, because you can say, for example, if you know about where the target's going to be on the terminator, even if you can't see it in like the zoomed out magnification, you know about where it is, you can kind of get close to that area or center on that area and then add the Barlow and zoom in, or use a shorter focal length eyepiece and zoom in a little bit more.
So what I tend to do is I use my viewfinder. I kind of try to center it on the moon. And if I'm having issues with that, then I will, and sometimes I'll just put the Barlow in right away because I know I'm quite close and I just have to do some slight adjustments. Other times I'll just put the eyepiece in. And then once I have my telescope on the moon, I'll shove the Barlow in, refocal length, and just move around very slightly on the moon as I find things and try to orient myself. So like for this one, I'd find the dumbbell crater or the eyeglass craters. And then I would just use that and find everything else based off of that and figure out where I am on the moon.
Sweet.
Mhm.
So
Someone-
now you know telescope
Someone else,
magnification.
no, Blake noticed that you're using a Telview eyepiece. So for astronomers out there, astronomers drool over the Telview quality.
I didn't know how big they are, but I did get a lecture by my partner not to drop it. If I do anything, don't drop it because it's worth more than the telescope I was using.
Yeah, we know Samantha's a professional astronomer now that she's a professional
has
amateur
fancy-
astronomer now that she's got her Telview.
She got the badge. We sent her one to show that she is a real astronomer now.
I don't know where it is. It got lost in the mail then.
It's an ironic badge I made on my phone.
Does
So
it come with knowledge too? Just all the
Yeah.
knowledge?
Suddenly you just gain levels and then you know everything.
Yep.
Okay, so binocular magnification is a lot easier because the binoculars just tell you. It's just printed on the binoculars. So you'll see a number like 8 by 56 or 10 by 50 or 10 by 40 or 8 by 42 or something like that.
Mine's right here and it's 10 by 50.
So the 10 is the magnification, and then the second number, the by second number, is the size in millimeters of the, can you turn the binoculars around, Samantha? Of that part, of the front part. Is that the objective lens? Is that what it's called?
Or I guess primary.
The front one, the one at the very front. So that would mean that your eyepiece is 50 millimeters across.
And
Hooray!
these aren't even fancy like astronomy. They're not built. They're just outbound. We bought them from Canadian Tire on sale. So yeah, it's not going to really, this is not specific to astronomy telescope. Astronomy
Samantha's just trying to
binoculars.
make it herself more relatable after admitting that she has the fancy eyepiece. That's all.
I didn't buy the eyepiece. I'm borrowing it.
Alrighty. So
Binoculars are my favorite to view from if I'm just finding objects.
what are?
I really like binoculars to just throw up in the sky. It's very easy.
It is very easy and it's nice. You can use them for other, I mean, you can use a telescope for other stuff too, but it's just nice to like hand off to other people and kind of like browse space a little bit, you know.
I can only find the moon successfully right now. That's where I'm at.
We'll work on our next observing program to get you up to speed, whatever we
Yes.
do. Alrighty. So the other thing that I wanted to touch on before we get into hearing from all of you is how to use, so just a heads up, there was a question in the Q&A about this. Are all these classes available on iTunes? They are not on iTunes. I wish we were that fancy. They're just on YouTube. They are available at our YouTube account, on our YouTube account. It's RAS Canada, and I can post the link in the chat. So all of them are there. They are not in Q day order. They are in presentation order, but we will be putting them into a playlist in Q day order. So we did them all out of order just based on like what was the easiest one to present at the time.
And based on observing dates for everybody.
And based on observing dates, yeah. And so they are a little bit out of order, but if you want to come back to this, which you can, literally anytime. This is not, Nahikla, I had the same feeling too. This is not homework. You do not need to complete it now. If it feels like homework, take a break. because it's not meant to be. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, there could be
Um,
someone watching this 50 years from now.
That's
Yeah,
unlikely, but possible.
entirely possible.
Google might be our
Some
overlord
future
for now.
AI is just watching Moon and Noon.
Just to learn how to observe. Like I
They could be watching it on the moon, and then they wouldn't know what to do.
Let's hike to these craters instead.
Yeah, exactly. You have to visit all the targets.
Oh man, what a future we can envisage. That would be fun. So we are, if you are coming back to this at a future time, if you are an AI from 50 years ahead, then in order to apply this to the future, what you want to do is find the lunar day that you are planning on observing on, and then head over to ras.ca/moon and noon, which will stay there indefinitely as far as we know for now. We're going to head over there, and I'm going to just quickly jump over to that window. There's a little chart that tells you exactly, that Samantha put together, that tells you what Q day is what lunar day. So if most apps work in lunar days, so if you're going to go out and you're expecting lunar day 8, head over and see which day that is for a Q day, and then all the maps will still be there, and you can see what targets that you would like to look at.
Alternatively, you can always just look at almost any calendar and find when the quarter moon is and the full moon and new moon are, and just work away from that.
Yeah, as we explained at the beginning, and we'll put that video first in the YouTube list, or maybe second after this one, we'll see. In our very first video, Q days are based around the quarter days. So Q
Quarter
day
moon.
0 is either the first quarter or the third quarter, as shown in this list, and just work backwards from whatever calendar day that comes up as. That is it for our covering of that program. I want to just quickly do a couple quick shout outs to some of our social media folks who posted about observing the moon with their cat, which makes me so
That is
happy.
adorable.
So cute and fluffy, little mane. And John Gagne as well, who posted actual observations of the moon at noon. So big shout out to you two for sharing those with us. And also a shout out to Stephen Dow and Lisa, and Dave Chapman, who've all been sharing consistently throughout the program too. We appreciate all of your contact with us, because we're still all sitting alone in our apartments. So we appreciate it very, very just posting, yeah, thank you, Samantha. I was just about to post that. Samantha has just posted the link to all of the resources related to this online course in Explore the Moon. And so there are extra support resources for the Explore the Moon program. And we will probably also link to the Moon at Noon page from the Explore the Moon page eventually, just to link them both together.
We're going to be linking the YouTube playlist that's in order on that page.
Yes, that's true.
So yeah,
that
if
you
you
can rewatch.
lose anything, just remember Rask Moon at Noon. That's all you got to Google.
You'll find it. Yeah. All right. I think is that. Oh, yes. Now we have quizzes. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about before we get into quizzes?
No, John, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Blake's going to develop his Earth at Noon for lunar residence. One thing about that is, I think if it's new moon and the entire Earth is illuminated, right? You could do it all in one day, assuming the weather's good and on
there's
the
enough
places you want to
variation.
observe. There's not a
There's
hurricane over Nova Scotia. Or something. Yeah.
That's true. Quick question from Joanne as well. Will the calendar stay up to date? I will not be updating the calendar anymore ongoing. It takes a surprising amount of work to double check that what you're looking at is actually what's going to happen. So what we recommend, if you're at all concerned, is just going on and using that NASA Dial-A-Moon that we've been using throughout the program. The link is at rask.ca/moon at noon to see exactly what you're going to see at your time, at the time that you plan on observing wherever you are in the world. So give that a try if that's one of the tools that works for you. Okay, alrighty. So we have some quizzes. We want to see how you all felt about some stuff. So first of all, our very first poll, I'm not letting the panelists vote because John came up with it, is
I
of
didn't
these,
get to vote.
sorry, if we three vote, then no one else gets to vote.
Oh.
So for those of you who are on Zoom, feel free to vote on your favorite targets. For those on YouTube, I will just list them. We have the Straight Wall, the Alpine Valley, Clavius, the crater, Sinus Iridum, Plato, the crater, the dumbbell craters, which are in Samantha's background, Mare Crisium, which might be in mine. Is it?
Wait, what happened to your fill in the blanks one?
Oh, it's down. Oh, it's down there. I'm
Oh,
getting
you
there.
scroll down. Okay.
Yeah, because then there's the
Yeah.
Gang of Four,
So you can
and
scroll down on this poll.
yes, you can. Don't forget to scroll. And then there's Copernicus at the bottom. And I thought that John was being too restrictive, but so far I am wrong in that. Because I added the option to tell us what your favorite target was if it's not included on that list. But no one has answered with that slot yet. So perhaps John was right this time, I suppose. Oh, one person. Thank you. Solidarity with whoever voted for that one.
But you got to tell us what it is now. We'll hold you to it.
Yeah, you have to post in the chat. Please post in the chat. Oh, Apennine Mountains. Good job.
Oh, good choice.
yeah.
Good choice.
I think I would say 2 nights ago, Piccolomini was actually quite interesting for me. There was like these ridges, like wrinkles around the sides.
Mhm.
That's
Thought it
pretty
was
cool.
Pretty cool to look at.
I'm going to close this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what came out first? Copernicus. That's fair. Copernicus is really cool. Also topping the list, we have, oh, sorry, let me share the results. There you go. Also topping the list, we have Clavius and the Straight Wall.
Has
Very reasonable.
anybody said anything on YouTube?
Let me check YouTube. Oh, Blake's over on YouTube too. Well done, Blake. You're covering all the bases. We have got no answers from those on YouTube. If you have a favorite lunar object on YouTube, please share it with us. We would love to know. All right, our next poll. Hold on, we have a Q&A. How did your crafts turn out? We'll get to that at the very end. Well, between crafts and between these questions and our last sketch. So our next poll is going to be, oh, I'm gonna download that for funsies. Stop sharing. Our next poll is going to be the Explore the Moon progress. How did you all do with the program while we were running it? Have you made it large leaps and bounds through? I'm probably at like less than 25%. So no shame if that's where you're at.
So are you still in the crescent phase? Are you at first quarter?
I'm about
Right.
25 to 50%. I'm almost at first quarter.
Or are you gibbous or are you full?
See, because that's the question. Is 100% a full lunar cycle, or is 100% the surface of the moon that we can see?
Yeah.
I think I'm going by the surface of the moon. So I viewed Q day -1, -2. No, I missed -1 last night because I have -4, -3, -2, and I think some of 5.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna end the poll in 3, 2, 1, and poll. All right, it looks like we have kind of split into 2 categories of people who are sort of like got stuck shortly after we got started, or maybe have stopped observing for chunks, or possibly ran into bad weather too. That's also an option. And then we have the people who are almost done. So well done to everybody who's participated. Thank you so much for letting us know how far along you are. Yeah, Joanne says, I need warm weather. Yes, me too. I feel you.
It's been warm for me. It was perfectly clear. It's been warm enough for me to wear a jacket. I've gotten a lot of bug bites in the last couple of nights, though. The things I do for astronomy.
You got to make sacrifices.
Last week, I think John mentioned that if it was all clear, that we could almost get it done in the next couple weeks. And so far, my sky's listening to him. So maybe I should get my act together.
There you go. No one spotted a telescope recently.
Yeah, no one's bought a telescope.
That's what it is. It's been a
That's
while.
what it is. Yeah.
I haven't bought a telescope in weeks, so
This is all thanks to you, John.
Yeah.
Your sacrifices.
John measures the time between telescopes in weeks, not years.
it's bad.
Oh,
He does it for a living. It's okay.
yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of John doing things for a living, our next program, we're trying to figure out what our next program is going to be. We have a potential program that we're already planning to run in September and October. That's like a very brief, very, very simple introductory program. We haven't completely finished planning it, but we want to know from you what kind of other observing programs you would like to see. These are all RASC-based observing programs. However, John is biased because John's writing a book on the Messier program. So it would be a good fit for John if we did the Messier catalog next. But we also, what's that?
I was saying me and Chris Vaughn.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Two big RASC boys. And then we also have winter focused Explore the Universe, because we mostly did summer last year, so we could go over some of the wintry targets. And the Finest NGCs catalog, which is actually not receiving that much popularity. The NGCs are a non-Messier object, and it was a very popular program like 10 years ago, so we'll see how it goes. And we have the Isabel Williamson Lunar Observing Program, which is the more advanced version of this. And then we have the Double Star program. So we'll let you keep voting for a few more minutes while we look at, oh yeah, I feel you. So Lori said that she had high hopes, but has been really tired. And I 100% feel that. I don't know about you all. I don't know if it's the pandemic or what, but I've just been so tired and I haven't had the energy to get outside. So.
And it's hard because I feel like we've lost a lot of our in-person observing friends too, you know?
Yeah.
I'd like someone to go out with me.
Yeah. It's exactly. And like, hopefully as things get a little bit better, you can reconnect with those members, RASC members that are closer to you and friends that like to go out in the middle of the night to look at them. All right.
Friends that can help me find all the other objects too. So.
Yeah, that's true. You need that mentor. We're gonna close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And winning out. John, did you stack the audience?
What?
I think they all just want John back.
That might be it. Yeah.
For the Messier catalog. I
That's
don't know
true.
about everything else.
We've got Messier, Winter Focused, Explore the Universe, Double Stars, Isabel Williamson, and Finest NGCs in that order. So we will take this into account and we will communicate to you all through the RASC website and through social media and through our email lists what we're going to do in the future.
I think you can do both. I think Winter Explore the Universe would be a great one, a great short series.
It'd be a neat little, yeah, we could make it a little bit shorter. We'll see we'll talk.
Yeah.
If anyone has finished their crafts, if anyone has done more crafts, please share with us. I will really quickly show you what I've done, which, hey,
I haven't done much more, but
yeah, I was gonna say it's similar to how my lunar observing has gone. I started strong, looming a moon, and then I just stopped. Right? Isn't that kind of cool?
So is that the moon at Loon?
The moon at Loom. Oh my god.
my problem is I started a sweater project and I have a rule that I can't start more than one project at once because I can't have just piles of yarn not done. So I still only have this little thing, but maybe I'll make like put a backing on and make a bunch of what's the things you put your cups on?
Oh, coasters.
Coasters.
There you go.
Looney Moon looks good. Ah.
Thank you. I'm working. I did really well, and then I got to the point where I started. Nope, never mind. I started to need to add detail to the gray part. Like I started to need to add like the bright spots and the dark spots, and then I was like, yeah, this is a lot.
Again, any knitters, can you make like a sweater that's moon themed? Like I am not at the point where I can draft knitting sweaters. I could draft quilt patterns, but not knit patterns.
Alrighty.
I think, are we done talking about, are ready for sketching or?
I think we are. I'm going to do, for those of you who are leaving at this time slot, which is our official end of the program, thank you all so much for joining us throughout this journey. It was so much fun. We will continue to offer online content in some form or another for those of you who are further away from centers or who are looking for ways to engage online. We love it, and we love seeing you here. So we will definitely be continuing with that.
And now, one quick plug.
Yes, plug away.
Our AGM is coming up in 2 weeks. So
1 week.
Oh my gosh, it's coming up. We have really cool keynote speakers. I think for RASC members, how much is it to go to the AGM?
It's actually, so just to be clear, there's the AGM and then there's the GA.
GA, sorry.
The GA is the General Assembly, and that is our series of presentations. And we have great speakers. We have Emily Calandrelli is our keynote, and she did Emily's Wonder Lab, and I think she's great. She's going to be talking about space and women in space. We have Hilding Nielsen and Katie Mack and Kate Russo, who's going to be talking. She's talking about eclipses. We have Erin Prasad, and we have Socializing on GatherTown. So we're really excited to be doing that. It is $15 for RASC members, $20 for anybody else. I think we maybe have a deal for Casca members as well. Oh, let me get the website.
And if anybody knows how much it costs to go to conferences, $20 is like a complete steal to see all these keynote speakers and just be able to connect with Rask members too, because we have GatherTown, which is the closest you're going to get virtually to be able to walk around and chat and play games and do all that stuff. I'm really excited. It's going to be my first GA I'm going to, so.
Cool.
Can be fun. Thank you all so much for all the positive comments as well in the chat. It's just lovely to see you all, that you all enjoy this. It's really nice. Thank you so much for supporting us throughout all of this and coming to all these. It would not be fun without you. It's really nice to have you all hanging out and chatting with us. Yeah.
Okay.
Sketching.
I'm ready. During that plug, I was able to get my stuff ready.
Our last sketch is suggested by Stephen Dow, and we decided to go with an audience suggestion for this one. And look who's here.
Edwin.
Edwin is here. Hi, buddy.
That is on baby duty.
He's
We
gonna
asked for Edwin to come. Let's be honest.
Alrighty, so today we are doing, I've already forgotten the name of this, Aristarchus and the Cobra Head. Is that right?
Where's the Cobra Head?
So I think this photo looks like it's almost taken from space, or is that taken from Earth? Do you know?
I don't know.
Stephen Dow, are you in the chat?
If you're in the chat, please let us know, but we can sketch regardless of where the
Yeah,
photo is.
it looks cool. The angle, like those craters look a little bit further apart because this is on the western edge of the moon. This object, the Cobra Head, when you observe the moon in a lot of conditions, that valley that's above the leftmost crater there looks like it connects to that crater with a ridge, and so
Oh, cool.
that's where the Cobra Head comes from. Yeah. Oh, he got it from LRock. So
Okay.
I guess it depends whether he's using 3D Moon or where you can sort of circle around like Google Earth, or whether it's the perspective of looking from a telescope. So there's two different ways you can use the LRock data, which is a really fun website to play around with. LRock 3D Moon.
That is
It's a lot
also
of fun.
listed on rask.ca/moon at noon. So if you haven't checked out that website, go in, or if you haven't checked out rask.ca/moon at noon, go in there and check out all the other cool websites that we've linked, like this one.
Yeah, quick map. Or not so quick. It's called Quick Map, but what's interesting is that there's maybe even thousands of layers of data on the map that you can get to with drop-down menus. And so like every instrument that's on the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter and taking data has been mapped out in different layers on top of the map. So you can see like probably infrared, there's laser altimeter data, there's radio data, radar. So it's just a really cool, and then all the stuff, all the craters are labeled. You can bring up the crater names. You can see where all the spacecraft have landed. So, because there've been dozens and dozens of robotic spacecraft in addition to the Apollo missions, whether it's impactors or landers or whatnot. And they're all mapped out. There's things that have crashed into the moon, like I believe the third stages of the Apollo rockets crashed into the moon. So those are there and mapped out, the crash sites. And then there's tools that you can use, like you can measure crater diameters with rulers and all sorts of fun stuff. Again, that's the quick map that was used to generate this photo.
Speaking of space things that have happened, I haven't done my research on this, but my dad texted me this morning to say that a payload, oh, hi, Edwin. I'm sorry. A payload met up with the Chinese space station today successfully.
Oh, that's
Does
cool.
Yeah. Always nice to
Yeah.
see this is in space.
Tangalong, I think, is the name of the space station.
Oh, cool.
The Chinese actually also released their plan or preliminary plans for their moon base.
Ooh.
And so it's a 3-phase thing. So there's like reconnaissance, and then a place where they're just dropping hardware down, and then, just building a big base with habitats and solar panels and all that.
Who is
So,
excited?
yeah, that's cool. And so that's happening, at the same time as Artemis, which is the sort of Western nations moon program. So
We should have done a poll to see who would go to the moon if we could. Maddie Claude, we did not. So did we learn, the question is, did we learn how to measure craters and features approximately, or did I miss that? I had originally planned on doing that, and I did not foresee how bad I was going to be at math. So I have not got, we didn't go through it. We ended up canceling that episode because of my own personal failures. It is possible.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as expected. It is possible, and there are instructions on the internet, but I have never successfully done it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more just a personal exercise in mathematics because you can use Quick Map to do it, with data from NASA and a little ruler dealy, as opposed to using your own photos. The challenge with using your own photos or with your eye is that the moon is a sphere, and craters that are near the limb are, will look elongated because you're looking at them at a very, very steep angle. So it's very, very difficult to calculate the diameter of a crater if you're looking at it from a very steep angle.
But I've seen people do it before with their own photos of the moon. So it is possible if you're looking at the moon, or if you're looking at the right spot on the moon.
Somebody needs to create a web app that does it.
Yeah. Put your foot. Well, it takes
We
the
were just talking about that. Yeah, we were just talking about the web app that does it. Oh, you mean with your own photos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be able to measure your own photos, and then like an online, put your photo up, have an online ruler.
I bet it exists. I mean, the math is hard on pen and paper, but easy on spherical geometry.
Isn't it? Yeah, I guess that's true. And you need to know the angle of the sun and stuff. All right, I think I'm getting close to finished on this. I did actually cut my eraser in the last session so that I have a pointy side, and I have been fiddling with it for the past week since we had our last sketching session.
I learned that I can really easily shade on the side of that. So I was excited about that.
Nice.
Okay.
A real quick question from Elsie, which was, how are you doing the white? So Samantha and I are both using a similar technique, except Samantha's doing it digitally. I don't know if you're using an eraser, Samantha, or if you're using a white brush. I'm
using an eraser.
Okay, so that's same thing that I'm doing, which is shading in the background gray, darkening the areas that are already dark, and then erasing the lighter areas to lighten things up.
When I'm doing this, the only slightly different is maybe how my smudging works, but I use the equivalent of an HB pencil and an eraser and a smudger. Even when I do my own ones, when I observe, I don't use anything fancier than that. I actually don't even do the gray background when I do my own observing. I can show you kind of, and the way I usually do my own observing with this is I'll usually sketch out, this is dark, this is light, and then go back and like really kind of start shading in. So my original sketches look more like John's.
Yeah, it's all what you're doing it for. If you want to,
so I'll show you,
make it artistic, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Like this is Piccolomini from the other day that I sketched, but it was really just using the same. I haven't changed any settings from before.
I'll just distract Edwin by this book. We're going to item 42 is what we're drawing.
Oh,
John, you need to write, you know how they have like quantum mechanics for babies? Like the solar system for babies.
Yeah, you need to do a baby book. So John, in case that wasn't clear for the audience, this is number 42 in John's 50 Things to See on the Moon.
That Stephen suggested it because it was also in John's book.
Yeah. Alrighty, and then one last quick note from Lisa as well. I have seen these before. I haven't used one for this purpose before, but if you go into an art store, they often have erasers that are like almost like inside of a mechanical pencil. They're like inside of a little tube, and they're quite small, and you can use those as very specific erasy spots.
I think you can get them at Staples too, or Walmart.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've seen them in my school stuff. So yeah, again, we're not using any, I mean, mine's fancy because it's digital, but if I was doing this, again, I'd be using an HP pencil and an eraser and a Kleenex.
Yeah, that's what I used a mechanical pencil and eraser, and then toilet paper for smudging.
It's just a little harder to cast when you're doing what Jenna's doing versus on the iPad. Okay,
Yes.
here's mine. I will stop it.
Beautiful, Samantha.
Thank you.
And here's mine, which I really feel I am getting better as we're practicing these sketches.
Ooh. Edwin, which one do you like better?
Edwin.
Edwin, we
Cast
can't
your
see
vote.
mine anymore. There's no fair. There.
What
Edwin,
is
Edwin, what
one?
do you like better?
That looks like he's reaching for Samantha's.
it? I think so.
Yeah.
Aw, thank you, Edwin. Steven's holding up.
He's got his runny feet again.
Stephen,
All right.
I think he would have reached for yours if we could have shown yours on the screen. And thank you so much for joining us in the sketching. It's always nice, like even if you don't join in the sketching, it's always fun to sketch with people, and like it feels like we're all doing it together.
It's like a nice chat, you know, wind down from the technical stuff. We can
Yeah. Alrighty.
chat.
We're ending actually now and on time. Good for us, but sad. Thank you all so much for joining for this series. We will for sure run a new one, and we'll let you all know once we get to it. Thank you, John and Samantha, for taking the time to co-host the show.
Thank you
And
for
Edwin.
having me.
Yeah,
It's
thanks
been
for
very
having us.
exciting.
It's been really fun having the three of us. So I think we should continue with multiple. Yeah, you too,
Because the
Edwin.
four of us.
Yeah, sorry, the four of us, the gang of four. Yeah.
And thank you for everybody who comes, because like our webinar wouldn't be a webinar without you guys coming. So
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you all in the
Will we
future.
see you on social media. We do check the hashtags. We love it.
And the future is looking up. So
Future's looking
Yes.
up.
Future's
Hopefully we'll
looking
see each other at maybe a chart party. And if you come to the AGM, GA.
General Assembly.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
getting these mixed up. So
You can come
if
to
you're a
both.
RASC member, come to the AGM.
Yeah.
If you're just in general, everybody can come to the GA.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe
We'll
we'll
see
see
you all-
at Gathertown.
Yeah, we'll see you all there, and enjoy the rest of the program. Feel free to let us know if you complete it, and we look forward to seeing your successes. Bye, everybody. Clear skies.